City with a firm foundation, blueprints in hand, laying every station. From the ground up, we craft the skyline. Vision in 3D, see the future bright shine. Safety first in every phase we engage. Concrete pouring as we turn the page. Destruction phasing like steps in a dance. Bridge to the future, season a chance. Our hats on, we engineer the dream. Bricks and beams, we like construction team. Gantt sharp lines, guiding what we read. In this cityscape, we never deceive. It's more than just steel, it's a crafted art. Brick by brick, every piece plays a part. Surveying lands with precision and care. Cat T drawings lead, taking us there. Alternatives flow like beats in the night. Rendering futures with digital insight. Safety's our rhythm, no.
Hello yet again, and welcome back to Civil Visualizing with Sam. This is episode 4, and in this episode we're going to flex some of the phasing muscles of Civil Engine. As a note, I'm on what I might call pre-beta, so this is a version of Civil Engine sometime between alpha and when we release beta. Again, our goal is to launch the public version in spring of 2025. And so some of what you see may be different if you're looking at this video in the future with a later version of Civil Engine. Today I'm going to be using Sketchup to work with my base model. And as I've mentioned before, we highly recommend using Sketchup or possibly InfoWorks to get your base model in and everything looking good before exporting and bringing that into Civil Engine. All right, so this is what my base model looks like, and we're going to do this this bridge replacement type projects. And this looks like a big mess right now because I have multiple things in the same place. That's what happens with phasing, and that's why we're going to be using Civil Engine. So if I hide some of these, you'll start to see that in our existing condition, we have, let's hide this as well and this as well. We have this road going over earth embankment over this channel, and in Civil Engine I'll be adding some pipes to convey the water through this channel, but for now this is fine. And then we're going to remove this and put a bridge there, but to do that we got to retain traffic movement, and so that's why we have the detour. So if I unhide these, again, this is a pain in SketchUp, but this will be much easier in Civil Engine. So if I hide the existing and I hide our detour, then you can see this is kind of what our final condition is going to look like. In this one, I'm kind of embracing the edges, this cutoff look. We could obviously have mountains in the distance, we could import terrain, we could do a lot of things, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense to spend all that extra time and effort on modeling buildings, importing terrain, and you can communicate everything you need to with just a kind of a box section of your project. And so that's up to you what aesthetic you're looking for, but that's something that I'm going to encourage more and more because it just kind of makes visualization more realistic on more projects. All right, so what we need to do, let's unhide these pieces, and we're going to export these, but we got to do them kind of one at a time so that we can bring them into Civil Engine and be able to phase them separately. If I brought all of this into Civil Engine as one base model, then it would be much more difficult to phase. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to utilize the export selected feature within SketchUp. So right now I have the base model selected, and if I go to export 3D model, we want to make sure this is OBJ. Let's go to this folder, and then in options you want to make sure it's selected export only current selection. You can also have centimeters, that's fine. And then we want to do this, we'll call this base model, and then we'll export. All right, pretty small, not a lot of faces, that went fast. All right, we can hide this now because that's already been exported, and now we want to export these earth embankments. So we'll do File, Export, same drill. We'll call this Earth 1, we'll call this Earth 2. And part of the beauty of doing this is when we export in this way, when we bring them into Civil Engine, they're all going to be in the right place. We're not going to have to move them around at all. All right, so this is our detour road. These ones we can export together. Now the bridge we can export as separate pieces so that we can phase that if we want to as well. If we brought it in just as one bridge, that would make this whole thing much faster. but I just want to bring it in as separate pieces just to show how you can do even individual pieces of a bridge as part of phasing if you want to.
Structural minds building more than stone, laying down the laws of our own zone. Safety protocols, every project aligned. Hard hats keep rhythm safety defined. Blueprints dance as the skyline evolves with precision. Every challenge resolves. We map the vision, clear as daylight. In this engineered world, we take flight.
All right, so I think I've got everything exported. Let's just go ahead and unhide and make sure that all of this is saved. And if you're working in SketchUp, you do have to be like in that sub mesh component before those things will show up. So just a little bit of work to get that all to show back up. But when you do, then we can make sure that this file is saved in case we need to come back and re-export anything once we're into Civil Engine. All right, so now I have Civil Engine open. Again, this is a pre-beta version, and we're going to start importing models. So we first want to import the base model, and we're going to go to OBJ, and we want to go to our folder, and we'll start with that base model. The only thing you need to change here is make sure this is centimeters, because that's what we export as. Now finish import, and this is what it looks like. It looks pretty terrible, but that's okay. We're going to apply the library materials within Civil Engine here pretty quick. But let's import the rest of our models by going up to this top right button, this panel, import, and then we want to go to base models, import new. And now it's just a matter of importing each one of these separately. So let's go to Earth 1. Same settings should be fine. And now you can see that showed up there. And let's go to Earth 2. That seemed to work okay. Sometimes these faces aren't the right way in SketchUp, but we have two-sided faces in Civil Engine, so usually we can manage that. Detour road, and then I'll just kind of power through the rest of these.
From K dreams to the streets where we roam, making structures that feel like home. Ladders and cranes, reaching for the sky. Behind every beam stands a why. Elevate plans for thought and design, with every project building its own sign. Crafting bridges from vision to reality. In this city symphony, we find clarity. Alternative sketch like shadows in the night. Greedy visions bringing plans to light. Safety codes keep the harmony tight. Building futures from sunrise to night. With jackhammers echoing down concrete avenues, steel beams rise like lyrical cues. Foundations deep as the rhymes we back. Destruction sites we were laying tracks. Calculations crisp like verses height.
All right, so I got everything positioned, and you may have noticed that everything didn't come exactly the way it was in SketchUp. And the reason it was, I believe, is because each of these are in submesh components, and each of those submesh groups kind of had their own location. And so what I could have done is I could have just exploded and made them all part of the same top level group, and then exported them that way, and they would have come in with the same coordinates. In this instance, I just moved them into place using Civil Engine. Most things came in fine, it was just the bridge pieces. And so once I had the first bridge piece placed, then I just copied those coordinates in the location, and then they came in correctly because I used the same coordinates for all of them. And one little trick that is nice within Civil Engine is if you, let's say that we want this to be 500, and then we want to move it again, if we want to move something else, then that 500 is going to automatically show up for convenience. So that's why I was able to go pretty fast on this sort of thing. So let's get this back to where it was. And let's get our bridge pier. There we go. All right, and then I can get these turned back on. I can turn those on and off as necessary as I move forward. So now the next step is I'm going to start texturing.
Building up the city with a firm foundation, blueprints in hand. laying every station. From the ground up, we craft the skyline. Vision in 3D, see the future bright shine. Safety first in every phase we engage. Concrete pouring as we turn the page. Destruction phasing like steps in a dance. Rich to the future, seizing a chance. Hard hats on, we engineer the dream. Bricks and beams, we let construction team. Gantt sharp lines, guiding what we read. In this cityscape, we never deceive. It's more than just steel, it's a crafted art. Brick by brick, every piece plays a part. Surveying lands with precision and care. CAD drawings lead, taking us there. Alternatives flow like beats in the night. Rendering futures with digital insight. Safety's our rhythm, no stepness aligned in this urban symphony. Progress we find, hard hats on, we engineer the dream. Bricks and beams, we like construction team. Yeah, sharp lines, guiding what we read. In this cityscape, we never deceive. From khaki screens to busting streets we strive. Digital grids guiding us.
All right, so now I'm going to do the next step, which is adding context to our scene. I'm going to be adding trees around here. Obviously, you could be adding buildings and existing context. Sometimes you have aerials, sometimes you have mountains, but I'm just going to add some assets from our asset library. We have, I don't know, something over 800 assets in here so far, and it's a really good way to quickly add context to your scene. With the caveat that hopefully we have the assets you need to make your scene look like it actually would in real life.
Structural minds building more than stone, laying down the laws of our own zone. Safety protocols, every project aligned. Hard hats keep rhythm, safety defined. Blueprints dance as the skyline evolves with precision. Every challenge resolves. We map the vision, clear as daylight. In this engineered world, we take flight. From K dreams to the streets where we roam, making structures that feel like home. Ladders and cranes, reaching for the sky.
All right, so it took a minute, but we got the trees placed in there. And now we're going to do some water, and we also got to do those pipes. So let's go ahead and to do the water, there are several ways you could do it. We could have brought in a surface plane from Sketchup and then just used a water material. But I'm going to use dynamic building blocks. I'm going to use a slab and place it, and then you can change the material on these. So that's the way I'm going to handle water this time. So let's go and change it to, let's use water 3. We are still working on water, so again, depending on when you're using this, we may have more options available. But for now, this is what I'm going to use. Let's bring that down, and then we can scale this in the directions as necessary. So let's make this maybe 100. All right, so you can see now our water's looking pretty nice. But we got to handle the pipe situation. So let's rename this lab. All right, now we can turn that off, and let's go to our base models. We want to turn on the earth. Let's turn on the existing earth first. Turn off all of our bridge pieces. All right, so this is our existing condition, and we want to, again, we've got a road going through here. We want to add a pipe. So this is actually a really cool trick. If you go to paths and go to other, we have pipe. And so we can go ahead, and what this does is it places a pipe 4 feet under the ground of wherever you are clicking. So let's do one here, and that's not what I wanted. Let's try that again. All right, so what it's doing, and this is a bug we're going to work on, but it knows that detour road's still there, so it's trying to place it on there. So we just need to go find a gap there and place it there. And now we can adjust the scale of that pipe like this. And we don't need to adjust all of it. So let's go to scaling in the different dimensions. We want to get a nice big culvert. Obviously there's not going to be clipping. We're not going to clip through the earth. If we wanted to do that, we could have done that in SketchUp. But for now, we just want something like this that looks like it's purveying the water through there. So let's do another one. And then a really nice trick is you go to this one, you want to go copy, and it's going to copy everything from that first one and then paste it on the second one. So now we can quickly get this one to match the first one. And as a major caveat, I am an engineer, but I don't do this kind of engineering very often. So if you are screaming at your screen because this is not the way it would actually go, I just appreciate your patience and imagination that actually I'm doing this the right way. All right, so let's put those in their own folder. We'll call those pipes. And then we're going to need to make another water because this one is going to work well for our final condition. Actually, let's just bring this one down and we should be able to use it twice. So let's lower it. Something like that. That way it will work for our existing and our final condition. All right, and also we're going to suspend belief a little bit and just assume that we were able to pump this channel dry during the construction. So during the construction phase, there won't be water. All right, actually I made an executive decision. We're going to do temporary dams as part of this as well to kind of communicate how we would actually remove the water. So we can do that by going to our assets. We can use another dynamic asset. So let's go to building blocks and we can do one of these guys. And we can just make this like an earthen dam on either side. And one thing that's cool about these is they're 1 foot cubes, or you can change it to 1 meter. So whatever we use here, that's going to be the dimensions of it. So it's like 100 by, we're going to want it to be bigger than that for this channel. And we aren't going to want it to be as fat. So let's make this 250 down, and then we want this to only be 50. All right. But our material is concrete. We're going to want this to be an earthen dam, and so we can go ahead and change that by going here and then dropping down. And if this is ever finicky, this dynamic asset thing, you can always do the same thing over here. And it's a redundant menu, so we can go from concrete to one of these other ones. So let's try. All right, now to do it on the other end, actually let's move that down a little bit. Go to our assets, box dynamic. Let's move it down here. So our dimensions are 50, 250, and 40. So let's use the same dynamic asset, but we do have to scale it. So 50, 250, and 40. And then now we can place this one down, and it's going to retain the same characteristics as far as the material. And that's how these dynamic assets work, is you make an instance and then you can place that instance multiple times. So if we wanted to change this material to something else, it would change the material, both of these, because they're both an instance of that same dynamic asset. So just to show you that, if we wanted to change that, let's change it to glow. That's how easy it is to do that. It's going to change out on both of those. All right, so that means that we're going to need to put some more water as well for when we're working in here. and the other one's removed. So let's remove the other one just to make this easier. And then let's go to our dynamic assets. Again, this slab is our water, and we want to place it in here. And then we just need to change the scale.
Making structures that feel like home, ladders and cranes, reaching for the sky. Behind every beam stands a why. Elevate plans for.
All right, so now when we're working, we're going to have some dry space between these two earthen dams. All right, so we're getting close to being able to phase, but we still got to finish out building out the context of our model. And you can see here we've got some striping that we need to do. So we can do that pretty quickly here using our path system and these path presets. We have pavement markings, and I think we should be able to use some of these existing ones to speed up this process. So we'll use double yellow striping here, and then we've also got to stripe our detour and our final condition as well, but the striping can be phased, and so we'll just do that.
Ladders and cranes, reaching for the sky. Behind every beam stands a why. Elevate plans for park and design. With every project building its own sign. Rafting bridges from vision to reality. In this city symphony, we find clarity. Alternative sketch like shadows in the night. 3D visions bringing plans to light. Safety codes keep the harmony tight. Building futures from sunrise to night. Echoing down concrete avenues, steel beams rise like lyrical cues. Foundations deep as the rhymes we back. Destruction sites, we were laying tracks. Calculations crisp, like verses height. Hold the rhythm steady, foundations right. Drafting blueprints like scripts for life. Every step in sync, no room for strife. Hard hats on, we engineer the dream. Bricks and mains, we not destruction team. Bricks and veins, we not construction team. Get sharp lines, guide what we read. In this cityscape, we never deceive. Sketch of the skyline, bricks meet the clouds. Brains moving gracefully, tall and proud. Safety that's mandatory for each climb. In this blueprint hustle, we hit our prime with schedules tight. We measure twice. Every night and day represents our device.
All right, so I'm going to speed through the remainder of this. I'll do future videos where I go through this phasing more in depth. This entire project took me about 2.5 hours, but I'm really excited about how it turned out. You can see that I went ahead and added striping and guardrail, and then I went and started phasing out all the different pieces, and everything you place in Civil Engine can be phased either individually or folder by folder. And so I made all the different phases and started phasing them out so that I could do the remainder of the different phases, like for example the striping on the final condition, or the barrels and construction barrier on the detour. And so that creating phases was an important step early on. And then as soon as I got all of those conditions the way they needed to be, then I started to add animated construction equipment using dynamic assets and customizing them per instance. And let's be honest, we're just big kids playing with Tonka trucks. I mean, this is a really fun part of this type of project. And so one by one, I went through all the phases and I set them up how they needed to be. I added construction equipment as necessary, and we do plan on adding more animations and more construction equipment, hopefully by the time of our public launch in the spring of 2025. And then once I had everything the way it needed to be per phase, then I went into the Gantt chart and started playing around with that. Again, this is a pre-beta version, so those that have alpha won't have access to this 4D phasing Gantt chart system that we have, but it will be available in beta, and it definitely will be available in the public launch. And so putting all of those on the different months on the timeline actually goes pretty fast once you have all of the different phases set up the way that they need to be. And the reason this works so well is because it's actually done. This is how Gantt charts are done. This is how scheduling is done. And that's why it's kind of intuitive to do the 4D Gantt chart phasing. You don't need to be an expert in that system to understand how to do it. Eventually, we'll have a sequencer, which is a video editing system where you can tie cameras together with Gantt chart phasing. We don't have that set up yet. So what I did is I set up some cameras, and then I rendered out all of the different phases with the same camera, and then went into video editing and spliced those all together. And so I think it's cool just to kind of render out the Gantt chart moving with maybe an orbit camera going. And if you're not familiar how to use an orbit camera, just go down to the bottom left, select orbit, and then double right click where you want it to orbit. And then it will just keep rotating even if you are in the Gantt chart phasing. The problem with just screen capturing and doing that is, there are a ton of trees, there are a ton of animated construction equipment, and so your frames per second aren't going to be as smooth as if you render it out. I always like to render out 4K 60 frames per second, and so that's how you get such good final results. Again, this took less than 3 hours. This is an amazing feature to be able to do this sort of phasing in photorealistic 3D visualization in Civil Engine. Obviously, this tool is built for transportation projects, but it also can do civil, it can do phasing, it can do alternatives, it can do all these other things, and we're building it specifically for our industry in a way that I don't think fully exists elsewhere. I invite you to learn more about Civil Engine. Go to beyondcad.com/Civil Engine to learn more. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more updates. And if you want to keep updated with Civil Engine, make sure and fill out that form on the Civil Engine page. My name is Sam Lytle, and I will talk to you in the next one.
Building up the city with a firm foundation, blueprints in hand, laying every station. From the ground up, we craft the skyline. Vision in 3D, see the future bright shine. Safety first in every phase we engage. Concrete pouring as we turn the page. Construction phasing like steps in a dance. Bridge to the future, season a chance. Hard hats on, we engineer the dream. Bricks and beams, we let construction team. Gantt sharp lines, guiding what we read. In this cityscape, we never deceive. It's more than just steel, it's a crafted art. Brick by brick, every piece plays a part. Surveying lands with precision and care. Got D drawings lead, taking a stare. Alternatives flow like beats in the night. Rendering futures with digital insight. Safety's our rhythm, no step misaligned in this urban symphony. Progress we find, hard hats on, we engineer the dream. Bricks and beams, we like construction team. Gantt sharp lines, guiding what we read. In this cityscape, we never deceive. From khaki screens to busting streets we strive. Digital grids guiding us with pride. Structural minds building more than stone. Laying down the laws of our own zone. Safety protocols, every project aligned. Hard hats keep rhythm safety defined. Blueprints dance as the skyline evolves with precision. Every challenge resolves. We map the vision, clear as daylight. In this engineered world, we take flight. From K dreams to the streets where we roam, making structures that feel like home. Ladders and cranes, reaching for the sky. Behind every beam stands a why. Elevate plans for park and design. With every project building its own sign. Rafting bridges from vision to reality. In this city symphony, we find clarity. Alternative sketch like shadows in the night. 3D visions bringing plans to light. Safety codes keep the harmony tight. Building futures from sunrise to night. With down concrete avenues. Steel beams rise like lyrical cues. Foundations deep as the rhymes we back. Destruction sites, we were laying tracks. Calculations crisp like verses height. Hold the rhythm steady, foundations right. Drafting blueprints like scripts for life. Every step in sync, no room for strife. Hard hats on, we engineer the dream. Bricks and mains, we not destruction team. Bricks and veins, we not destruction team. Get sharp lines, guide what we be. In this cityscape, we never deceive. To the skyline, bricks meet the clouds, brains moving gracefully, tall and proud. Safety net's mandatory for each climb. In this blueprint hustle, we hit our prime with schedules tight. We measure twice. Every night and day represents our device.